It doesn't matter what your goal is. Rapid change requires a belief in the possibility of rapid change. You can't let what is get in the way of what is coming. You have to do whatever it takes to cultivate the right belief system to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Hello, and welcome to The Joy Within, where we're eliminating negativity one thought at a time. I'm Kyle Greenfield, and I'll be your guide as we explore how to be calm, confident, and happy in our crazy modern world. Join us each week as we dive into some of the biggest ideas in spirituality and personal development. We'll learn what it takes to gain control of your own mind, master your mood, and navigate the many ups and downs along the way. Visit thejoywithin.org to get started so you can become the calm, confident, and happy person you truly deserve to be. Hello, and welcome back to the Joy Within's podcast. Today, I want to talk about a trap that I think we all fall into at times whenever we're pursuing a goal or trying to break through to the next level in our lives, the next phase of something, whether that's a project we're working on or a personal inner goal. That trap is believing that the way things are now is the way they are going to be. Now, this trap can happen in a lot of ways. If things are going good, for example, you might become attached to them, and the assumption that they're permanent might keep you rooted in that attachment more deeply than if you assumed that they were just passing, if they were fleeting right from the get-go. And really, learning to deal with this type of approach is a whole discipline, a whole genre of spiritual and inner growth. So we can't get into all of that today. Today, I want to focus on what happens when we aren't yet where we want to be. We have a tendency, often subconsciously, to look at where we are and then to extrapolate the future based on the present. We think that we can predict where we'll be based on where we are. And that's a dangerous game because sometimes it can be helpful. It can inform us about the choices that we make and whether those choices are getting us the results that we want. But I actually think that most of the time, that tendency to extrapolate gets in our way. It holds us back. It creates doubt and disbelief about our own ability to be, to do, or to have whatever it is, whatever goal that we've set for ourselves. It limits our thoughts. And when we repeat that idea to ourselves, day in and day out, it creates limiting beliefs. It creates negative emotions. And it stops us from getting into alignment. So you have to be careful not to let what is get in the way of what's coming to you. Let that idea sink in for a second. Don't let what is get in the way of what is coming. Now, let me give you an example of this, which I see all of the time with my students here at The Joy Within. They'll sign up, watch a video or two, and then they'll say something along the lines of, I really want to change, but I've always been this way. I've always struggled to be happy. Or I've always struggled with stress or anxiety. Or I've always struggled with feeling scattered. Or whatever it is for that person specifically. And sometimes they'll even say something like, I can't even imagine how it would be different. And when you think about it, this attitude, which is so common, is a form of learned helplessness. That's when you convince yourself that you are unable to make any change. And it's super common, but we don't often recognize it within ourselves. We get so used to being in one set of circumstances that it begins to blind us to other possibilities. Often, you might have already tried to change, or you've tried to go after your goal, but you've not had results. Or you've only made nominal improvements, but you've not gotten the big goal or the big result that you wanted. So you begin to cement the idea that your life will always be more or less the same. You might start telling yourself the story that, well, maybe a few things could change, but it'll be a long haul. It'll be a long road ahead, and it'll take an immense amount of work. And all in all, life will be pretty much the same. So you convince yourself that it's not worth it in a way. You psych yourself out, but often we don't even realize that that's what we're doing. So think about this for a second. Have you ever fallen into this trap? Have you ever really wanted to change something about your life, really wanted to hit a goal, but you've built it up so much in your head that it seems like so much work, or it seemed so far off, that you started to convince yourself you'd never get there? Or maybe you even convinced yourself that you never wanted the change in the first place. This happens all of the time. On the surface, it seems reasonable. I mean, after all, you're just extrapolating out what you think will happen based on your own past experiences. But there's a huge flaw in this reasoning, which is that we tend to ignore the possibilities that are brought by quantum leaps or even by compounding exponential change. Our minds don't really process what it means to have the possibility for that sort of rapid or even immediate change in our lives. So we often don't appreciate how small changes, which on the surface don't appear to amount to anything, can actually combine to create rapid and transformational results in our lives. Or we don't recognize that it might only take one idea, one shift in perspective, one new way of thinking about the issue in order to completely transform whatever it is that we're struggling with. So when my students tell me that they're not sure whether or not our program with The Joy Within will work, they're not sure if they can stick through and make it through Happiness University, it's because they don't realize the power that one or two missing links can have. In our case, a student might say something like, "Oh, I can't meditate," or "I'll never be happy." But really, they just never learned about their inner energy. They never learned about their resonance and how to use that to connect their thoughts to their inner joy. They never used it to truly quiet their mind. They never used that resonance to change the way they think. But these beliefs are everywhere. In business, it might be just a small tweak to your messaging or where you're spending your marketing budget, and making a small tweak makes all the difference. It's just reorienting, redirecting in a new way. Or in dating, for example, it might be the quantum leap of just meeting that one person, and then everything else clicks into place. It doesn't matter what your goal is. Rapid change requires a belief in the possibility of rapid change. You can't let what is get in the way of what is coming. You have to do whatever it takes to cultivate the right belief system to achieve the goal that you want to achieve. Because if you don't, the other thing that will happen is not only will you feel disheartened, not only will you start to doubt yourself and will you start to think that your goal is not possible for you, but you'll actually make that goal harder to achieve. If you think, "I'm terrible at sales," then every time you go on a sales call, you're going to psych yourself out and you're never going to get better. If before every first date you think, "Ugh, not this again, I hate dating," then chances are you're not going to make a good impression and you're not going to have a connection. You're not going to have a good time and you're going to continue to hate dating. It's a vicious cycle. At some point, we can believe so strongly in what is that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. It's a dangerous trap. You have to do whatever it takes to snap out of that trap. You have to shift your thoughts. You have to change those beliefs. You have to believe that positive change isn't just possible in some vague sense. You have to know it deeply. You have to feel it and know that it is realistic for you and that you are on your way to it. And that's exactly how the Joy Within can help. If you feel stuck where you are, if you don't know how to break through to that next level mindset, just log into Happiness University. Follow along with the simple daily trainings. Then just sit back and relax. Just watch as you start to think differently and your life starts to transform right before your eyes. Thanks for listening to today's episode. When you're ready to put these ideas to work in your own life, head over to thejoywithin.org and sign up for Happiness University. When you do, you'll have access to all of the tools and strategies you need to eliminate negative thoughts by tuning in to the joy within. You can follow a simple, step-by-step system to become the calm, confident, and happy person you deserve to be. Visit thejoywithin.org to get started today. And if you enjoyed today's podcast, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with someone you love, because I think we can all use a little more joy in our crazy modern world.